Hey guys, this is Finn from Finley Clad Crochet, here to teach you another stitch, kind of the next stitch that you're going to find useful after the single crochet, which I went over in my last video. And this is called the half double crochet. So let me go ahead and get started here by making a slip knot as we do when we are working in rows. So just a quick recap, you're holding it with the tail end down to the pinky, holding the yarn that way. Cross over the back of your two fingers to create an X. Go under the first arm and pull that second arm through to make a slip knot. There we go. Okay, so for half double crochet, you're going to want to chain the number of stitches that you want to make. So just for purposes of the video, we're going to do 12 half double crochets. So we're going to chain 12. 1, 2, and 12. Okay, and then to make the turning chain for a half double crochet, you want to chain 2 more. We're going to do here 1, 2, and that creates the turning chain, which just in case you're unclear on what a turning chain really is it obviously creates space for you to be able to turn your work without twisting your stitches up, but it also helps you kind of get to the height of the stitch that you're going to be working. So if you notice, we've got the chain here that we're going to be working into, and then we've got these two, which are the turning chain. And if you go like this, you'll see that they kind of bring the hook up to a certain height above the chain, and that's going to be the height of your stitch. So that's why you're going to use a different number of turning chains depending on how tall the stitch is. So for the single crochet, it was just 1 turning chain because it is a very short stitch. Half double crochet is just the kind of the next tallest stitch that you're going to learn. So you're going to chain those 2 to get up to that height. So go ahead, we'll get into how to create the actual stitch. This is much like the single crochet. If you'll remember with the single crochet, all we did was insert into the chain, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. That's a single crochet. Half double crochet is really the same concept, except you're going to be adding 1 additional step here, and that is sorry, just fixing the chain a little since I messed it up with my single crochet. And for the half double crochet, the added step is just that we're going to be yarning over before we actually insert the hook into the chain. Very simple, something you're going to do for a lot of stitches moving forward, so something to get used to, but it's a very simple step, just yarning over so that you've got that yarn pulled over the hook, kind of resting on the hook before you insert into the chain, which will be the 3rd chain for half double crochet. Since you've got the 1, 2 turning chains going into the 3rd chain, we're going to insert the hook with that yarn already on it. So you'll notice that there's going to be 3 loops there on the hook. Then we're going to yarn over and grab a little bit of yarn there and pull through, just like we did for the single crochet, except now you'll see you have 3 loops on your hook instead of those 2. And then we're going to finish it just like we did with single crochet by yarning over and pulling through all 3. Ta-da! You have your first half double crochet right there. So again, very simple, pretty much the same steps as single crochet, just that added yarn over in the beginning. So we're going to create the next ones by going into the following chains. If you'll take a look here, this chain has been worked into. You can see the 2 legs of the stitch are in this chain right here, which means this is the next chain we're going to work into. I just like to kind of point out these things for beginners because it's really easy to skip chains or accidentally work into the same chain more than once when you're first learning kind of what a chain is and what a stitch looks like. So again, just for reference, we're going into this one right here. So I've yarned over, and then I'm going to insert the hook, yarn over again, pull through, yarn over one more time, pull through all 3. And there you go. There's your second half double crochet. And so we're going to go ahead and do that into each of the remaining 10 chains we have here. While I'm doing this, I'll just let you know, because I did have questions on the last video, the yarn that I'm using here, this is Hobby Rainbow cotton yarn. It's a DK light worsted weight, and the hook is a 6mm hook, which is a little big for the weight of this yarn, but I'm infamous for using kind of big hooks with lighter yarn. It's kind of part of my style, and also it helps me demonstrate for you guys a lot better, which is also why I chose a cotton yarn for my videos, is because you'll see the stitch definition is very clear with cotton yarn. You can easily see the different parts of every chain, every stitch. It all stays very defined when you're working with cotton, which is why I prefer it for my tutorials. So there we go. We've got 12 half double crochet. This is your first row complete. And now I'll just show you how you're going to do any subsequent rows when you're doing half double crochet. Since the turning chain for this is 2, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to turn our work so that we're, again, going from right to left. And then we're going to work into the first stitch, and I'm going to point out again, and I probably will point out again in the future where that first stitch is, because it can be really confusing, the beginnings and endings of rows when you're first starting out. This right here kind of looks like a stitch, but it's not. It's actually the beginning of your turning chain. If you look from the top, you've got 1, 2 turning chains, and so that is actually just the first of your 2 turning chains. This is the first stitch. If you'll look at it, it's got the 2 legs underneath, and that's kind of the head of the stitch. It's got this opening right here. That is the first stitch, and that's where you want to work into. If you work into the turning chain instead, you're going to end up accidentally increasing your stitch count for the row. So I've yarned over, inserted the hook, yarned over, pulled through, yarned over, and pulled through 3. We'll do it again a little slower for you here. Into this next stitch right here. Oh, that's just my puppy barking, if you forgive me for that. All right, and we're going to go ahead, pull through 3, yarn over, insert, pull up, yarn over, pull through 3, and we're going to continue that down the row. And this is how we create any of the half double crochets that are going into previously made stitches. So if you're working in multiple rows of half double crochet, this is what it is going to look like. So keep going, yarn over, insert, pull up, yarn over, pull through. Keep on going. That is 10, 11, and then into this last stitch right here. Again, this is a turning chain. It is not a stitch. This is the last stitch. We're gonna yarn over and then insert, pull up, yarn over, pull through. And this right here is 2 rows of half double crochet. So this is a really good stitch to learn, get used to, get comfortable with. It's a little taller than the single crochet, so it's going to work up a little faster for you. And it is a very good motion to get used to for when you're going to be yarning over for a lot of other stitches in the future. So go ahead, pause, rewind, rewatch, do whatever you need to get comfortable with this stitch, and then we'll move on next to the double crochet after we've kind of nailed the half double. So good luck and happy hooking, guys.